Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. Today, we're diving deep into the Agile Practice Guide, and we're going to tackle a topic that pretty much every modern professional, developer, and manager wrestles with on a daily basis. I'm talking about navigating the messy middle of project management. We're going to completely demystify Agile methodologies and look at exactly how your teams can transform total chaos into continuous, predictable value. Okay, let's just dive right in. Here's our product backlog for today. We'll start with the age of uncertainty, move into the agile mindset, then choosing your life cycle, followed by the servant leader, and finally, measuring agile success.
Section 1. The age of uncertainty, moving beyond the predictable.
So let's establish the core problem we're all facing today. Why do we even need a totally new way of working in the first place? Well, imagine trying to build a cutting-edge software app using the exact same rigid rules you'd use to run a car production line. It's just not going to work, right? You've got definable work where the procedures are crystal clear, you've built the car 1,000 times, and the execution risk is basically zero. You just plan the work and work the plan. But then you have high uncertainty work. This is the realm of complex problem solving. It's exploratory. You literally haven't done it before. The rates of change are off the charts, and traditional approaches that demand all your requirements up front, they just fall apart. We desperately needed an adaptive approach.
Section 2. The Agile Mindset, Values and Principles over Rigid Plans.
So how would we actually solve this problem of massive uncertainty? We adopt Agile. But here's the thing. Agile isn't just some strict process you check off a list. It's a foundational mindset. And it all starts with a simple number 4. Back in 2001, a group of frustrated software pioneers decided to completely flip the script. They formalized the movement with the Agile Manifesto, built on just 4 core values. These values radically prioritize individuals and interactions over processes and tools. They prioritize working products over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over just blindly following a plan. It was a massive paradigm shift. Agile essentially says, look, the stuff on the right matters, sure, but we value the human, adaptable stuff on the left so much more.
Now, those 4 core values flow directly into 12 guiding principles. Think of these as the ultimate guardrails for the Agile mindset. They include prioritizing the early and continuous delivery of valuable software, and, get this, actually welcoming changing requirements even late in the game. They also highlight that the absolute best way to convey information is through face-to-face conversation. And think about why that matters today. In our hybrid work world, prioritizing a quick video call over some massive, confusing 50-message email thread, that alone can save you hours of friction.
A really crucial point here is that Agile isn't just one single rigid method. It's actually a blanket term. It's an umbrella for a bunch of different frameworks that live up to those values and principles we just talked about. Things like Scrum, Kanban, Extreme Programming, Crystal, they're all Agile. And surprisingly, Agile itself is actually a subset of lean thinking. It borrows core concepts directly from Japanese manufacturing. Things like eliminating waste, working in small batch sizes, and just relentlessly focusing on value. So when a team tells you, hey, we're doing Agile, they could be using literally any combination of these frameworks.
Section 3. Choosing your life cycle, finding the right fit for your project.
Let's get into the actual mechanics of how teams select the right structure for their specific work. Because trust me, one size definitely does not fit all. Looking at this breakdown, notice how a predictive approach relies on totally fixed requirements with a single delivery at the very end, because the primary goal there is just managing cost. Iterative approaches use dynamic requirements to repeat work until the solution is perfectly correct. Incremental approaches also use dynamic requirements, but they deliver frequent, smaller pieces to optimize for pure speed. And then, look at Agile. It brilliantly combines the dynamic, repeating nature of iterative with the frequent, small deliveries of incremental. The ultimate goal? Relentless customer value through continuous feedback.
To put a finer point on it, let's sharply juxtapose the 2 extremes here. The predictive lifecycle, which most people call waterfall, demands bulk planning up front. You execute sequentially, and if a change happens, you have to force it through this painfully heavy change control process. The Agile lifecycle completely flips that script. It expects change. It embraces it. By combining iterative learning with incremental delivery, an Agile team can instantly pivot when the market shifts. Or, as we all know happens, when the customer completely changes their mind halfway through the project.
Section 4. The servant leader, empowering the team to deliver value.
Moving into the people aspect, none of these frameworks matter without a cross-functional team and a very specific approach to leadership. We lead teams by standing behind them. I absolutely love this quote from the Agile Practice Guide. This is a massive departure from traditional command and control management. In Agile, the project manager isn't a dictator barking orders from a corner office. They are standing behind the team, actively supporting them.
Which brings us to the formal concept of servant leadership. It's exactly what it sounds like, leading through service. Instead of walking into a room and demanding, "Why haven't you finished this yet?" a truly empowered servant leader asks, "What's in your way and how can I help remove it?" They act as an obstacle remover. Better yet, they act as a diversion shield, absorbing all that internal company politics and external noise so the actual cross-functional experts can just put their heads down and do what they do best. It is such a refreshing way to operate.
Section 5. Measuring Agile Success. Tracking progress without a fixed plan. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. This is the biggest concern traditional managers have when an organization shifts to Agile. How on earth do we measure success without a fixed baseline plan? It's a fair question, right? If Agile embraces constantly changing requirements, and we don't have some massive Gantt chart predicting what we'll be doing exactly 6 months from now, how do we know if we're actually on track? How do we report status when the scope is literally always evolving?
The answer lies in empirical, value-based measurements. First up is the burn-down chart. This is a visual tool that tracks the amount of work remaining against the time left in an iteration, which is usually a 2-week sprint. You start with this ideal straight line going diagonally down to 0, and then a wavy line tracks the actual work getting done day by day. At a single glance, everyone can instantly see if that wavy line is keeping pace with the straight line. You know immediately if you're on track to finish the committed work or if you need to adapt right now.
Then we have velocity. This is the rate at which a team successfully completes work, typically measured in story points. After a few iterations, a team naturally establishes their average velocity. And why is this a game changer? Because it finally replaces optimistic, pie-in-the-sky guessing with highly predictable, sustainable data. Calculating average velocity lets the team accurately predict their future capacity based entirely on their own real historical performance.
Now, for flow-based Agile teams, like the ones using Kanban, we rely heavily on time-based metrics. Lead time is the total clock time from the moment a customer requests an item until it's actually in their hands. Cycle time, on the other hand, is just the time the team actually spends actively working on it. By separating these out, teams can easily spot hidden bottlenecks. Think about it. If your cycle time is lightning fast, but your lead time is huge, well, it means work is just sitting in queues, gathering dust, waiting to be started. Tracking these metrics is absolutely crucial for optimizing the entire flow of your pipeline.
Let's look at how all this builds into the continuous delivery loop. Define, develop, test, deploy, and accept. By keeping our batch sizes super small, maybe we're just building a single feature or user story, we can race through this loop incredibly fast. Working in these tiny batches creates much tighter, much more efficient feedback loops. If we build something the customer doesn't actually like, we find out at step 5 in a matter of days, not after a year of incredibly expensive development. That saves time, it saves money, and honestly, it saves a whole lot of frustration.
And this brings us to one of the most vital statements in the entire Agile Practice Guide. Working product is the primary measure of progress. It is not about being 90% done with a massive design document. I'm sure we've all been burned by a project that was magically 90% done for 6 months straight, right? Surrogate metrics like percent complete just hide risk. Empirical measurements of finished, working, accepted features are far more valuable and truthful. At the end of the day, you either have a working product that delivers real value to the customer, or you don't.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. Anyone can do Agile. You can set up a Kanban board, you can hold 15-minute daily stand-up meetings, and you can casually call your manager a Scrum Master. But are you truly being Agile? Have you actually internalized the mindset? Are you empowering your servant leaders, welcoming late changes, and relentlessly focusing on continuous value delivery? That is the real challenge of navigating the messy metal. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope this leaves you eager to evaluate and elevate your own team's practices. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I will see you next time.